Hi guys, it's Kara from Health, Home, and Happiness, and I'm here on Facebook Live again doing a couple recipes today. And today, while we do our recipes, our topic of conversation is going to be toxic load. So our body naturally detoxifies. We have a detoxification system in our bone marrow, in our liver, in all sorts of our body, especially our gut. And with the help of the food that we eat, and I'm going to start while I'm doing this, I'm going to be making herbed olive oil, and I've linked to this in the notes because this does help with our detoxification system. So let me point this down here. So for our herbed olive oil, I just have cilantro here. I'm using lemons and garlic. But anyways, our detoxification system, and you can see me, I'm just going to be taking these leaves off. And you can use whatever herbs you have on hand. If you have a couple bunches of herbs that you used a few stalks for a recipe and then you have them left over, just go ahead and put them in like this and I'll show you what to do. Anyways, toxic load. This came up, I was on a Q&A panel with amazing people from the Vaxxed documentary. And you can see my recent blog post about Vaxxed if you want to learn about that. But one of the questions that I got was about peanut allergies from my friend Brooke here in Bozeman. And I don't really know why there are more peanut allergies now. She was thinking it was related to the vitamin K shot. I'm pretty sure that there are kids that have peanut allergies that did not get the vitamin K shot. My kids don't have peanut allergies. But anyways, I do suspect that a lot of the allergies that we are seeing now are a result of toxic load. So what is toxic load? Toxic load is normally our body can detoxify just fine. Like there's toxins in the food that we eat. Any food, even organic, has stuff in it that we can't use. And then there's also environmental toxins, like obviously smog, but then like there's all the pollutants that now we have like as a result of flame retardants in mattresses. And if you Google Health, Home, and Happiness latex mattress, you can see the latex mattress I use for my daughter. I bought my kids when they were little. My daughter, she started getting hives every time I put her on her crib mattress. So I wrapped it in visqueen because we had no money at the time. I wrapped it, which that mattress wrapping is something they do in, I believe, Australia. But anyway, so that's another way you can get toxic chemicals that your body needs to detoxify is from like flame retardants that are added to mattresses. And I see some of you guys joining me. It's nice to see you here. We are making herbed olive oil, which is super simple right here. I'm just putting cilantro in. But anyway, so flame retardants in sleepwear, polyester clothing, like clothing made with synthetics, that's all going to have a little bit of off-gassing. Like even the fleece that we love, like we love Columbia fleece, but it's made like essentially of plastic, and our body's going to need to detoxify that. And like we just said before, it's not just synthetic stuff. When we process our food, there's some stuff like phytates and stuff in our food that we can't process, and our body sees those as stuff that we need to deal with. So part of if we are healthy and our gut is functioning healthily, and our liver is doing well and not overrun with toxins, we should be able to detoxify just fine. But the problem that comes up, and I think that this is why we're seeing more allergies and stuff, and this is just my speculation, it's worth what you're paying for it, which is nothing, is that when we've got all of these toxins, and I would include some of the byproducts that are in vaccines in that. So when we've got all these toxins being bombarded on these little systems, starting their very first day, being put on a conventional crib mattress that's off-gassing, that's treated with flame retardants. Newborns are, in the US, newborns are generally given the vitamin K shot, which the reasoning, vitamin K is hard for me. The reasoning behind the vitamin K shot is to prevent a very small percentage of babies from hemorrhaging. And at first I thought that it was only unnecessary because we're not circumcised, or it was only necessary if you were circumcising, but it turns out that they can get brain bleeds. I didn't personally give my children vitamin K shots, but that is one of the hardest decisions that I'd make. It's always terrifying thinking that your child could get an undiagnosed brain bleed. Sorry, I'm just rinsing off this cilantro. Some of it has some stuff on it still. So that is our part of our toxic load. It's not just straight vitamin K and the vitamin K shot. There's other additives in it as well that they need to stabilize it. In the hospital, most newborns are given the hepatitis. In the US, they're given the hepatitis B vaccination, I think within 48 hours of birth. And that one I have no problem not giving my children. My children are not at risk for hepatitis B. Of course, that's an individual decision. But in that Hep B shot, there are going to be additives. And then not only that, but even if you go without any of the shots and you're at home, in our house, like the carpet is usually made out of polyester, and so that's off-gassing. Most of our beds, unless we've bought organic mattresses, are off-gassing. Any polyester in our clothing that our baby's against, polyester in blankets, is all off-gassing. So these little babies are in car seats. I'm a big car seat fan, and we do use car seats, obviously, but they are made out of plastic and foam, especially as it breaks down or is subject to the heat of the car, does off-gas chemicals. So really, there's just chemicals all over the place. And if you ask me, all that chemical load, the toxic load, is a lot, especially for our babies to have to deal with. But then in addition to that, a lot of us grew up with the same or similar toxic loads. So our systems, while we were pregnant, were overloaded with tons of this kind of stuff. And in addition to that, our food has tons of chemical additives, which you know, if you eat the standard American diet, you're eating probably hundreds of food additives every day. And a lot of us have switched to eating healthy, but it doesn't change that our body, as we were growing up, was really building itself on foods that had lots of chemicals in it, and we weren't able to detoxify at that same time. Which brings me to why we love this herbed olive oil. So this is cilantro, and you can click on the link. It's hard for me to do Facebook Live because I can't reference stuff. I don't have the links memorized for you, but I can, I did link to the blog post on herbed olive oil that shows all of the different healing properties and detoxifying properties of different herbs, and cilantro is one that is great. It's known as a chelator, which means it binds to heavy metals. And so that's really how we're supposed to be. We aren't supposed to be taking pills and more shots and more prescriptions to help our body when we're sick. If we're sick because of too many chemicals and too many chemical exposures, we need to help our bodies stay healthy by providing the foods that it needs to do its own detoxifying. So we have our own detoxifying system. We don't need to go on, in general, you don't need to go on a cleanse. You don't need to go on a detox plan. Your newborn that maybe is showing signs of too many environmental toxins and is unable to detoxify definitely doesn't need to go on the master cleanse or anything like that. But if we provide our bodies with the foods that we need, then we are designed to do that all ourselves. So that's what I really love about eating healthy foods. It doesn't need to be complicated. It's really just provide your body with a variety of healthy foods, and we know what those are. It's not stuff that comes from a factory. It's not stuff that comes in a package. It doesn't even need to be hard. Like, this recipe is super easy. I usually have my kids do this part. They like taking the leaves off. And you can leave some of this time. Because I'm talking to you anyway, I'm just on here taking all the leaves off. So anyways, we have our cilantro in here, and you can use whatever herb combinations you like. You can even Google for herb combinations. This is garlic. I have a bunch of garlic in here. It's in olive oil, and that's another, everything's controversial, it seems like. That's another thing that's controversial right now, is olive oil with garlic in it. because people were leaving this like out on the counter. I keep this in my fridge. So if you leave it out on the counter, it does have a very small chance of growing botulism, which botulism doesn't spontaneously come from olive oil and garlic. It's introduced through the soil. So it's not just olive oil and garlic in and of itself together in your homemade salad dressings is not going to be dangerous and is not going to subject you to botulism. But use safe kitchen practices whenever you combine stuff, especially fresh produce like garlic is. Keeping it in the fridge isn't a bad idea. Botulism is, I believe it's not scented, like you won't see anything. But if of the cases that they did see where people were getting botulism from garlic and olive oil, they were using that raw and it wasn't refrigerated. They were leaving it out on their counter. So I keep it in there just to preserve it. This is lemon juice. If you find you're using a lot of salt in your recipes, of course salt, especially unrefined sea salt, isn't bad for you, but just adding more salt might not give you what you want. It's usually acidity is what is missing. So a squeeze of lemon in place of more salt, if you're trying to get your recipe to taste right, helps. So this is just 2 lemons. We'll use about a teaspoon of salt. Oops. And there probably was about 2 cups of cilantro. It's obviously packed down. Then here is our olive oil. This is from the Olive Oil Club, and if you sign up through the link in my detoxifying herbed olive oil post, you can get a free bottle for free. It's the full size. And then you'll probably like it so much that you'll just want to keep getting it. I get 3 bottles. I think it's every 3 months, maybe every 4 months. They have it on auto delivery for me. And this is raw, fresh pressed. It's got all the stuff that we talked about in that post that helps our body detoxify, gives us what we need. So just cover it with olive oil, and we're going to blend it up. Some of that from the bottom. And a regular blender probably works better. I might need to dump all this in my Vitamix. We'll see how it goes. Okay, yeah, that was a bad idea. I thought this would work. It didn't. So I'm going to dump all this in my Vitamix. It really is easy, especially if you don't have to make a bunch of appliances dirty. And you can definitely do this in a regular blender. I thought it would work with my immersion blender, but it did not. So this probably depends on different people's tastes and their body constitution and whatnot. We don't eat a ton of raw vegetables in our family. My kids actually like them more than I do. They feel heavy to me. And we live in kind of a cold climate, so we tend to eat a lot of more warm cooked foods, but there's still benefits that you can get from the raw foods, and that's what I really like having this herbed olive oil on hand for. I'm going to puree it real quick. So this is a great way to get raw olive oil and raw herbs that are going to have a different kind of health profile than cooked herbs into your diet. And we spoon this over cooked meat, cooked vegetables. It's good on salads. It's really good on cooked sweet potatoes. So really just like a spoonful of this on soups, on your grilled food. We're barbecuing a lot this summer. Helps you get that raw stuff in without having to eat a whole leafy salad. Like you see how much this shrank down from all those leafy herbs. And it's a great way to use up raw herbs. So if you have, like if you're doing my Greek turkey burgers, then you might have some leftover mint. And mint, you can just kind of Google what herbs go with mint, just to make sure your flavors, but most fresh herbs go well with each other. And then once you've done this, if you just want to taste it, stick my finger in there. And you can see if it needs more salt or it needs more lemon. This is good. If it tastes too oily, then usually the citrus, the lemon, will help it not taste so oily. So there's our, yes, Sarah, we just talked about that. Thank you for bringing that up. Herbs in olive oil are linked with botulism. The only documented cases in the US of people getting sick with botulism from herbs and oil is when they leave it on the counter. So we do keep this in the fridge. It has the garlic in it, and that usually garlic is where the botulism gets introduced. It's from the soil. So we do want to keep it on the counter, but your raw herbs and your raw olive oil just in and of themselves are not going to produce botulism. It has to be introduced from somewhere else. So next we're going to do turkey meatballs, and this is from my Cozy Winter Suppers class, the freezer cooking class that I also linked you to. And I don't have this recipe up on my site. I'll put it up for you when we're done. And these are made with, my friend's kids are coming later, and her kids love it, which is kind of funny because it's made with coconut aminos and fish sauce, which are really nutrient dense. Coconut aminos are a soy-free version of soy sauce. They have that savory flavor. And fish sauce, when you just use a little bit of it, the kids, they never suspect it. And it adds a lot of that nutrient density that we want in there. So we're just chopping up a bunch of green onions. Then we're going to add in half an inch of fresh ginger. And I'll show you how I peel ginger here. I'm just going to do it over my onion or my citrus peel. So I just use a spoon like that, and it just gets the skin off. It's really easy. And so when it says half an inch, it's obviously not a precise measurement because these are going to be different size bulbs for anyone. Fresh ginger is delicious. It's anti-inflammatory. A lot of the stuff that adds just subtle good flavors to recipes has different medicinal effects too. That's what people mean when they say, let food be your medicine. So when you add a bunch of different variety into your diet, which is what we try to do, it doesn't need to be complicated. It's probably a little much. It can be easy, but it has all sorts of medicinal benefits, and even ones that obviously we don't know everything yet. So in general, it's instead of trying to like chase down whatever the new trendy food is, whether it's coconut oil or maca powder or goji berries, if we just keep using traditional recipes that have a variety of flavors, we're probably going to get covered with what we have. Ginger, I'm going to just chop that up. It's not grating very well. My grater is pretty dull. I need to replace it. I don't think you can sharpen those. Fresh ginger. This is a really simple recipe. And like I said, I'll leave the ingredients list for you after I'm done with this. And a 1/4 cup of coconut aminos. I have probably half a cup left in here. This is, a lot of our meat recipes are pretty forgiving. So about a 1/4 cup is fine. What did I do? Here is fish sauce. So when you go to the store, a lot of your fish sauce will have sugar in it. This red boatfish sauce is anchovy, sea salt, and that's it. Anchovy and sea salt. They just have it in a different language down there. So 1 tablespoon of fish sauce, and that gives it that nice savory flavor. It's really a deep flavor. And 2 tablespoons of sesame oil. Sea salt. Sea salt is something I do measure. 1 tablespoon of sea salt. Because getting the salt right in recipes really makes a big difference. So that's really it. And then we're going to add our ground turkey into that. Put that there. It's from our freezer cooking class, so we actually make 3 pounds at a time. This is organic turkey. It's from Foster Farms. I'm not sure how much I trust their organic label, but it says it's organic, and I'm sure it's better than not organic. And you'll see in my cooking videos here that I don't always buy everything perfectly. I will use, all they have at the store is conventional turkey. I will use conventional turkey. Just kind of where we're at in my life right now is it's more important for me to get a variety of foods that are rich in protein into my kids than it is to perfectly source everything. So if we have a stressful week or whatever, or year, I don't worry if we eat some conventional produce or some conventional meat. I try to buy, like, we eat a lot of red meat because it's really easy to find local organic grass-fed beef here in Montana, but our poultry is not super easy to find organic, much less sustainable. So you can use avocado oil to grease the pan if you want. I'm just going to use sesame oil because I have it out. And I'm just going to bake these meatballs. So this is another job my kids love to do, is bake the meatballs. And then tonight I'm going to just serve this with white rice. We use jasmine rice. This turkey's pretty wet. And then I'll put something raw with it, whether it's a raw veggie or a probiotic fermented food, or I could even use that herbed olive oil. The flavors might not be perfect together. It might not be served in a 5-star restaurant, but it still is going to taste good. So this is just how we make our meatballs, and you can see this is a super fast recipe. Lots of nutrient-dense food in it, lots of good flavor. The ginger has the anti-inflammatory properties. The sea salt has the trace minerals, and it's really delicious. If you underbake these a little bit, so I'm going to bake, it depends on the size that you're making. I'm going to bake these at probably 375 for like 20 minutes. If you underbake them, so you only bake them for like 15 minutes, then you can let them cool, put them right in the freezer, and then just heat them up, like saute them in some sesame oil. And that's a super simple, fast meal. So thanks for joining me. These are the same kind of, yes, these are, hi Meg, these are in the freezer cooking class, and I don't have this recipe up on my site yet, so I'm going to leave the ingredients list down below for you. We love these meatballs, and most of all, my friend Rachel's kids love these meatballs, and they don't always love all the stuff we have. So since they're visiting, I wanted to make these for them because I know they like them. So thanks for joining me here. And if there's something you want to know in the comments or something you'd like me to cover in future Facebook Lives, I'd love to have you let me know below. Thank you.